What are the best new electric cars and SUVs that are coming out in 2022 and beyond that you need to watch out for? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. Although there are a number of really good electric cars and SUVs that are already available on the market, electric car technology just keeps getting better and better with each passing year, to the point where it's worth waiting and taking a look to see what's coming out down the road. The next generation of electric vehicles are going to be a huge leap forward, and they're going to solve a lot of the early issues that consumers had with earlier EVs, such as driving range and charging times. So if you're thinking about buying an electric vehicle for your next purchase, then make sure to stick around to the end of this video. For this list of upcoming electric vehicles, I'm going to try and stick with the more attainable mainstream brands that more consumers can afford, but I'm still going to throw in a few high-end luxury vehicles that I think have some really interesting technology. Let's get started with my first pick on the list, which is the Hyundai IONIQ 5. Now, although the IONIQ 5 is going to be made by Hyundai, the IONIQ is actually going to be its own separate sub-brand within the Hyundai group. Both Hyundai and Kia plan to introduce over 23 different electric vehicles by the year 2025 using their next generation electric vehicle technology. The company already knows what it's doing when it comes to making electric vehicles, and they already have some really good ones on the market, like the Kona Electric that has a very good driving range. The IONIQ 5 promises to be even better. It's going to be available in a few different configurations, including both rear-wheel drive and dual-motor all-wheel drive. It's going to produce up to around 320 horsepower, and it's going to have an electric driving range of up to 300 miles or 480 kilometers, which is really good. And because it's made by Hyundai, you can bet it's going to have some pretty impressive features and technology on board, including a really good infotainment system and some pretty neat active safety features. Now, much of the same could also be said of the next electric vehicle on this list, which is the Kia EV6. The EV6 is going to be one of 11 new all-electric Kia models that's going to be rolled out over the next few years, and it's going to share a similar platform as the Hyundai IONIQ. Now, like the IONIQ 5, the EV6 is going to be available in both rear-wheel drive and dual-motor all-wheel drive configurations that are going to produce anywhere from 167 to 576 horsepower. Thanks to the use of an available 77 kilowatt-hour battery pack, the EV6 should be able to get up to around 300 miles or 480 kilometers of driving range, which is really impressive. Like Hyundai, Kia is planning to introduce a number of fully electric vehicles over the next few years, and if they're anything like the EV6 or IONIQ 5, they're definitely going to be worth taking a look at. Moving on to the next electric vehicle on the list, the Nissan ARIYA. Now, Nissan is no stranger to electric vehicles. The company introduced one of the first and most popular EVs on the market, which is of course the Leaf hatchback. Now that the company has had so much experience with building electric vehicles, they now plan to introduce their first fully electric SUV, which is called the ARIYA. By the looks of things, the ARIYA is going to be a pretty impressive electric SUV. It's going to be available with dual motor all-wheel drive and produce up to 389 horsepower. Nissan is promising a range of up to 300 miles or 480 kilometers, and they're also going to introduce their next generation of Nissan's ProPilot active safety technology. And unlike many other electric vehicles, the ARIYA should be available a lot sooner than others. So if you're thinking about getting into a fully electric SUV in the near future, the ARIYA should be a really good option to consider. Now, Nissan is not the only company that has a lot of experience with making electrified vehicles. The other company, of course, is Toyota, which has been making hybrid electric vehicles for well over 2 decades. And the company is finally planning to introduce their first fully electric SUV, which is going to be based on the concept car called the BZ4X. Now, I know the name sounds a little bit like a modem or a fax machine, and hopefully Toyota plans to change it to something else, but in any case, the BZ4X is going to be one of many electric SUVs and cars that Toyota is going to be introducing before 2025. It's going to be based on Toyota's popular TNGA platform, a platform that the company is going to be sharing with Subaru, which is also going to be making their own version of this SUV. Although no details have been released on the drivetrain or electric driving range, it's most likely going to be available with both front-wheel drive or dual-motor all-wheel drive. In terms of both size and pricing, it's probably going to be somewhere along the lines of a RAV4, and if that's the case, this should prove to be a very popular electric SUV. Now, as mentioned, the BZ4X is not the only electric SUV that's going to be using this platform. The other one is the next electric vehicle on this list, which is the Subaru Solterra. Subaru and Toyota have a joint partnership when it comes to the development of certain cars, and that's released in the release of certain models such as the GR86 and the Subaru BRZ sports cars. Now, like the Toyota SUV, Subaru has not released too many details on the Solterra quite yet, but we can predict that it's going to come with some kind of a dual motor all-wheel drive system. It should have a very strong driving range, and it's probably going to be priced similar to a Forester or an Outback. Subarus have a very strong following, and like Toyota, the company is known for their affordability, durability, and the long-term reliability of their vehicles. So if you've been waiting for an attainable electric SUV, the Solterra should definitely be one worth waiting for. Now, if you've been waiting for something other than an electric car or SUV, there are some really interesting fully electric pickup trucks that are going to be hitting the market in 2022, and one of those is the Ford F-150 Lightning. The F-150, of course, is the best-selling full-size pickup truck on the market, and Ford has already released many details on the highly anticipated all-electric version. There's going to be both rear-wheel drive and dual-motor all-wheel drive configurations. They're going to be able to produce up to 563 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque. Official towing and payload capacities have not been released yet, but they should be very impressive because this is a very powerful pickup truck that's going to be able to do a 0 to 60 run in only 4.5 seconds, which is ridiculously fast for a truck. I'm definitely looking forward to testing the Lightning when it hits the market in spring of 2022, but it's most likely not going to be the only electric pickup truck on the market for very long, because GM is planning to release their own version of an all-electric pickup, which is going to be the Chevy Silverado. Now, GM hasn't released too many details on the Silverado EV quite yet, but it will be based on the company's upcoming EV platform that's going to use their next generation Ultium battery packs. GM's Ultium battery technology, which is going to be powering all future electric vehicles and even a few Honda electric vehicles like the upcoming Prologue SUV, should be a very impressive battery pack. GM plans to introduce a total of around 30 all-electric vehicles by 2025, and the Silverado EV will most likely be here a lot sooner than that. One of those all-electric vehicles that will be launched in 2022 is the all-electric Cadillac LYRIQ SUV. Now, GM is planning to do a full revamp of the Cadillac luxury brand, and the company will be producing all-electric vehicles most likely by the year 2030. Using GM's Ultium battery pack, it should be able to deliver a range of over 300 miles or 480 kilometers. It'll also be using the latest in GM's technology, including ultra-fast DC fast charging, super cruise control highway driving assist, and a 33-inch LED curved display shared with the Cadillac Escalade. The LYRIQ isn't going to be the only high-end SUV that GM is going to be releasing in the next year or so. The other one, of course, is the highly anticipated all-electric Hummer. Now, Hummer would normally be the last company that most people would think about when it comes to environmentally friendly driving, but the next generation Hummer that's going to be released in the next year or so is in fact going to be an all-electric vehicle. It should be a very impressive one as well. GM is promising an output of around 1,000 horsepower and an astonishing 11,500 pound-feet of torque, which is enough to launch this huge heavy SUV from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Of course, it is going to be a very expensive SUV, and you can expect the pricing to exceed $100,000 when it hits the market next year. Let's move on to the next electric vehicles on this list, which are the BMW iX and i4. The iX is going to be a large SUV similar in size to the BMW X5, and it should deliver some pretty impressive performance. BMW is promising up to 516 horsepower and a 300-mile driving range or 480 kilometers. Although it's shaping up to be a very impressive and practical SUV, the styling of the iX might not be to everyone's taste. And if that's the case, you might want to consider the other electric car BMW is going to produce, which is the i4. The i4 shares more or less the same design with the BMW 4 Series, but there's nothing conventional about the way the i4 is powered. The 81 kilowatt-hour battery pack should be able to generate around 335 horsepower and deliver an electric range of up to 300 miles or 480 kilometers. If an electric BMW doesn't appeal to you, then you might want to check out the other range of electric cars coming out from Mercedes, which are known as the EQ range. The Mercedes EQ range is going to include a number of different electric vehicles, including the more expensive and luxurious EQE and EQS luxury sedans, as well as the more affordable EQA and EQB SUVs. The power level is going to be anywhere from 220 to 550 horsepower, and you can expect a driving range anywhere from 250 miles upwards of 435 miles or 700 kilometers, depending on the model. The naming might be a little bit weird, but the technology looks to be very impressive. So if you're thinking about buying an expensive luxury electric vehicle in the near future, these ones are definitely worth taking a look at. Now, the list of amazing upcoming electric vehicles definitely doesn't end here. There's lots of really interesting stuff to look forward to in the near future, including models from brands like Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. But if you're like most consumers and looking for something more attainable and affordable, then one of the electric vehicles on the list is probably going to be one for you. Let me know what you thought of the electric vehicles on this list. Would you consider any of them, or would you consider one of the electric or plug-in hybrids that are available on the market today? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can take a look at some of my other car videos by taking a look at these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, you can take a look at carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.